Hi, everybody. Good evening. I know I got a late start today. It's really been a really busy week, and that's why I got a late start. I had been working all week trying to get some candidates to come on. I really want to showcase candidates because this is grassroots season. Look, we've got a lot of people that are running. And grassroots, I love grassroots candidates. Why? Because in today's politics, you are running into not just governing, your state or your county or representing your people, but it's a war zone right now. We've got so much going on in our nation, in our country, in our states, in our counties, in our cities. It's coming at all angles, and it's a new war zone. It's not the same kind of governing, in my opinion, as you would have seen, you know, 40 years ago. Uh, Society itself is different. People are different. Guys, I don't know what it is. Like, I raised my kids and I tried to set rules and standards and make them accountable for things, even to the simplest things. When it came to sports, I remember telling my son, because he was trying to figure out how to fit in and he was young. And I remember saying, look, you want to play on this basketball team, because I used to coach the little league basketball. And he he had to get used to his mom coaching basketball, which I loved it. It was for the little kids, so it's not that hard. But there's really competitive little kids at that age. I mean, super competitive. They're amazing, and their parents are just as competitive. And if you're not playing their kids, or if you're not coaching their kids right, they speak up. I mean, parents can get pretty ugly when they're possessive over their kids. That's a good and a bad thing, and I'd say I would prefer a possessive parent over their kid that's really, making their kid accountable and striving to push their kid to always work harder, than a parent that doesn't pay any attention at all. But there's gotta be a combination of love, discipline, and expectations, right? So anyway, I always told my kids, "Look, if you're gonna get into something, you're taking the spot of somebody else that really wants it. So you need to work hard for that. And once you get in it, if you find you don't like it, you have to finish it out throughout the season." And I remember telling that to my son. He played in my little league. It was the Orlando Magic, because we used to live in Orlando, and there is a little league called the Orlando Magic that was sponsored by the Magic basketball team. And the great thing about that is we would take the little kids during the summer, and the Magic would welcome them onto the real live courts, and we got to meet the real live Magic basketball players. So that was really cool. And it was the first time that I got to realize how tall these guys really are. And I mean, they're giants. And it was really good for the little kids. That's a great program, and I hope it's still on today. I don't live in Orlando anymore, but I really hope that that's still a good program that's continued. It's great to have kids involved in sports. And going back to my son, is I told him, he wanted to get on this really competitive team, because when we were playing the other teams, he wanted to be a winner. And the thing about young kids is some kids have the enthusiasm to want to be the winner, but they don't realize that with the win also comes a loss. So they kind of have to learn that. And my son hated losing. So I knew ahead of time that I had to say to him, look, this is a really, in this league, this is the elite team. And I know you want to be on the best because you want to be, famous, at this age. You want everybody to look up to you. But with that comes responsibility. That means if this team works way much harder than our team did, you can't give up, because you are taking the spot of another kid that wanted to be there. And I remember my son going through that in that team, and they did work harder than our team did. I mean, I wanted it always to be fun for the kids, and I wanted it to be competitive for the kids as well. But at the same time, I just love those kids so much. I wanted them to also have compassion. I wasn't, to me, the age group, they were 6 and 7, 5, 6, and 7. So I coached basketball for the 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, and the 7. And the 5-year-olds were my favorite because they were the little kids that if their friend was on the other team, they didn't wanna hurt their friend's feeling, and I remember seeing a little girl, and they were co-ed, a little girl stopped in the middle of the game because she saw her friend crying on the court, and she went over to hug her, and it was the cutest little thing. But back to what I was talking about is it's all relevant because society has changed. We see all these people out on the streets and we see people trying to interview them and get an opinion, and they're trying to shut opinion down. They're trying to shut the conversation down, or somebody from their group will come, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Or they'll just yell and scream and yell and scream. So they're not out there to learn. They're not out there to make any real change. It You can't make real change without having the conversation, without talking, without, open dialogue. That's what Charlie Kirk always talked about. That's what was so important about what he did on the college campuses, because society has shut down. I don't know if it's because of computers or stuff like that. But even I, as a parent, when we had like Game Boy, we had, oh, I can't even remember some of the games that they came out with when they were real little, and the video games that they came out with. My neighbors were already handing them to their kids, and my son was born in the '90s, so this was in the '90s, and they were handing them these kids, and I made my kids wait. I was like, "No. If you wanna play, go out and kickball. We'll get a pool in the backyard. Go out and play." And then when we finally did get them PlayStation, I think the first thing was PlayStation and, Xbox, they weren't allowed to just sit on it all day. If it was sunny out there and it was beautiful out there and if it was hot out there, guess what? We always had a sprinkler we could put out and let the kids ride through it. And I'm telling you, kids are really creative when you do stuff like that. We put the sprinkler out, an hour later, I walk out and guess what? They're on their bikes running through it. Or they've got my daughter's hula hoop, the big hula hoop, and they made a little ramp and now they're jumping through it in the bikes and getting water on them. They get so creative out there, and it's beautiful to see their minds do that. And I grew up like that too. We were out in the street playing kickball. We would pick up an old can and kick it, or we'd put it on our shoes and kick it, or we would do gymnastics out there right on the concrete. We just were so creative. And the kids are just different today. Society is just different today. So that all plays into politics. It plays into the dangerous zone that now people have to enter. So when somebody enters the spotlight of candidacy, running for county, running for city, mayor, whatever they're running for, they're stepping into the danger zone because people are angry at all levels. They're angry at government at all levels. And these days, the empathy and compassion is so absent of people that they literally will do things without any remorse. I'll give you an example. When I worked at the high school, and this is before we really saw it getting bad, but I used to work in the discipline office at the high school, and kids used to sit there and talk. And I was talking with this one girl, and after you see them come to discipline several times, you end up talking to them, and that's kind of the barrier. Like you once they see you enough and they see you're not a threat and they see that you don't judge them from what they do, I would try to allow that opportunity to arise where I could shed a little passive wisdom. And I had one girl that was talking to me, and she was telling me how she hated this person so much and blah, 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 blah. So I said to her, I says, "Well, do you think you hate their actions? Because, as a person, they're kind of they have a they're not they're a living human being and they have feelings just like you do. So maybe you just hate their actions and hate how they um, believe things, or hate how they make decisions, or hate how they hurt your feelings. But to hate the person, that's like a different level. Like, if For me, I would not there's some people I would never wanna be friends with, right? Because we don't get along, they're not nice to me, or they're condescending, or they talk about me, so I stay away from those people. But if I saw them injured in the street and there was a car coming, I would yell or try to get over there if I had time to get them out of the street. What would you do? I would leave him there. That's what she said. I would leave him there. I hope he dies. And I'm like, would you consider yourself a murderer? No. Would you take somebody's life willingly? No. Well, if you can save somebody's life and you refuse to, what's the difference? If you could save that person's life and you refuse to, if you had all the will, all the ability to save somebody's life and you refuse to do it because you said you hated them, what's the difference? And that's where I left it. And she really thought about that and she said, I never thought of it that way. And that's where we left it. We didn't go any further than that, you know. And but those are the little things that you can say that leave them thinking about it, because hate is such a strong word. I don't hate anybody. And I do believe that God is in everybody, but there is evil in everybody too. And you can allow evil to overpower the good that's inside you. So I'm going to say to you, if you're feeling a little bit of evil in you, try to overwhelm it with goodness. You ever hear that saying, kill them with kindness? Well, kill the evil inside you with kindness. And remember, everybody started out as a beautiful child, infant, and their environment plays a role. And sometimes you can be part of the positive environment. So anyway, today I just wanted to do a few highlights on the president's speech that we all watched yesterday, or some of us didn't watch, that I thought were very interesting. But again, let me remind you, I'd love to have some candidates come on. I'm working on a few candidates right now, getting them to come on. It's been so busy with a lot of different podcasters doing them as well. There's not a whole lot here going on in Indian River County. I know TC Palm does their traditional, but the difference between us and TC Palm and some of these regular interviewers is we're not going to just ask the same questions that TC Palm asks every year. You could literally go on YouTube, watch all their interviews with candidates, and pretty much have a good idea of what they're going to ask and formulate how you're going to answer it. We want to answer those really tough questions. Some of the questions, yes, are for everybody, and some of the questions are for people who believe they're important, and other people may not believe they're a problem at all. So that's where I go with that on the interviews. It's nothing unrealistic. I like, especially for local positions, I like to know that my local representative has an idea of what's going on around the world as well. He's not just in a bubble. Because when you have a representative that's in a bubble, what's happening in Congress, for not just for your state, or what's happening in other states, well, it bleeds into other states. So if one state next door to us is doing something, or something's happening to that state, we have to be aware of it so that we can see the signs of it when it starts to trickle in our state, and we can fight against that. And when it comes to our state, well, people say, what does that have to do with local? Well, it feeds into your local business. It really does. Everything ends up being local, just like everything local can end up being statewide and countrywide. So we have to always look at that with an open mind. Let me take a little break for Two for America. This is a great program. They want to do prayer throughout the world for America, and they have a plan on how to do it. And I want to show that to you right now.
We're going to stop the whole world for 2 minutes. Twice. 2 different moments. 2 historical moments. First, we will gather everyone in Christian ministry, from the pastors to the janitors, in every church and ministry from the 194 nations to pray for America all at the same moment in time for the first time ever on July 3rd on the eve of America's 250th birthday. To then kick off the global signup of 2 billion believers led through the unique app technology for one singular global moment of awakening on November 1st, 2026, All Saints Day, a Sunday, 2 days before America's elections. The global Christian ministry leaders and servants leading the world to a seminal moment in American history. The moment the entire world stops to pay America back by praying for America for 2 minutes.
How about that? Praying for America for 2 minutes. Come on, guys, get on board. Go to foramerica.com. That's to foramerica.com. Hey, I just realized I have Mike Dilks up at the top of my. Well, listen, I just interviewed him not too long ago, so I'm going to leave that up there because I like Mike Dilts. He was a lot of fun to talk to, and check out his podcast. So I'm going to leave that up there. Visit his podcast. You'll enjoy him. He focuses on law enforcement, tells you the good and the bad about it. And he does talk on some other platforms a little bit about what's going on in the nation. So check out Mike Dilks at any of the following podcasts right up there. I just interviewed him. So if you go to my if you go to my Rumble, you'll be able to see that interview, or YouTube, because I put it on YouTube as well. So anyway, listen, I wanted to highlight a few of the State of the Union sound bites. Just in case you didn't get to watch all of it, it did go a little bit long. Everybody was working, and I don't know about you, but I've had a busy week, and I've had a little bit of a stressful week. I've had to deal with some mental stress, I'm going to call it. But let's stop for a minute and just be thankful for all the wonderful things that we have in our life and the wonderful jobs that we have. I am very fortunate that the people on my team, I just love these people. They are so great. Um, I feel like I really care about them, and I want to look out for them. And I feel like they do the same. They are so friendly and caring, and I really do. And and it's great because there's like 3 girls right now, 4 girls. One of them is now my partner on my pickleball, and I had last Monday I had the greatest time. So these are the things that I can be grateful for. I'm really happy. I really love my supervisor. I think he's great. I really love the guys that work in my area. They are awesome too. Really nice personalities. I've had no issues with them. So these are really good things to be thankful for, because when you go to work, you're there for 8 hours a day, man, and you are working hard. And so you want to be around people that make you feel good and lifted. And so I want to say thank you, Lord, and amen for that, right? So if you can share the same kind of happiness, spread the joy. Amen. And so let's listen to some of these sound bites. The first sound bite I'm going to take you to, or we might have a little bit of a sleepy start. Okay, so let's go to it.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans a chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe.
Check it out. See clearly what your representative is doing. Who is that representative? Is that your representative? Is he doing his job? Because he looks like he's taking a nap.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Woo! That's right. That is absolutely correct. Now, I want you to take a look at the screen. You see all those people standing over there? and see all those people sitting over there, you as an American are not first. They have another agenda. Why are you not their number one agenda? They sit there, they preach to you at the events that they are going to represent you, they're going to take care of you, you come first. Your taxes in Minnesota, all our country taxes feed the whole entire country, feed the whole entire representatives up there. They take our money and they filter it where they want to. And they've got people in Minnesota that are illegal aliens, totally acting fraudulently, taking money, putting it in their pockets, sending it to our enemies. All those people are sitting. Look at them. Take a good look. They're sitting. You telling me that they couldn't stand up and say, America first? This is what I'm talking about. They are so driven by the evil in their heart and soul that they become callous, so callous that they can't even stand for military. They can't stand for actual victims of illegal aliens that murdered their children. They are so callous, they have let the evil in. And I'm telling you, God is in you and the light is in you. If you have that much evil, it's going to be hard for you to fight it back, but you still can. You just have to say, hey, that is wrong or that is good. But look at them. Why are they getting reelected? Is my question. Why do people not realize that what he just said meant stand up for American citizens? Stand up for people who actually live here in the United States that work hard, that are complaining right now, oh man, life is so difficult. Who cares about me? Those representatives don't give a rat's ass about you. They're saying it right there, right now, in that one statement that he said. Incredible. Now, I want to take you to the next soundbite for stronger borders. Is that important to you? Do you need strong borders? Do you want legal immigration? Because I want legal immigration. But we also can't have, you know, how you walk into the ballrooms and they have 250 person limit. Well, hey, there's at some point when your country is overwhelmed with immigration, you have to kind of shut the borders. So even with legal immigration, you would have to have a process that doesn't overwhelm the American people and a process where you're bringing people in that are here to make America better, to maintain its identity as a republic, as an American republic, a representative republic, not a unitary democracy, not a democracy. You know, you got all these representatives that say democracy. I'm telling you right now, the minute a candidate or anybody uses democracy too much, they abuse the word. I'm like, just think of the record scratch. I don't have to listen to anything else they have to say because right now they just totally turned me off with the overuse of democracy because we are a republic. It makes me feel so good when I hear a candidate or a representative that says, we're protecting this republic because that's what we are. So let's go to stronger borders.
After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far.
And we do right now. We do. But listen, folks, we have got to get off our asses and start voting in the primaries. We need to get serious about voting and get out there. And we got to get serious about our candidates. And I know there's a lot of people that are voting on the Republican side because your Democrat side has really left its home. And I've said it over and over again. I said it way back, and a lot of people are starting to say it now. Fetterman is the next face of the Democratic Party. He reminds me more of a Democrat than anybody else in that party. And I'm kind of proud of him for when he stands up because those people are ugly. You can see how they are in the streets. They're probably that way in Congress. And he really has he's coming from a good place. He really is. His views are way different than mine, but he still comes from a good place. I think Fetterman is a decent man. I know we used to give him a lot of shit for showing up, not in a suit, in his coat, and then he had was it a stroke or an injury, and then but he has really come a long way. So you know what, God bless him. God has watched over him. There's something, God has a plan for Fetterman. I really do believe that. And Fetterman doesn't care what all his Democrats say. He's going to speak his sense, and he does it well. So let's watch Fetterman for a while. He might be the next face of the Democrat Party and kind of bring those people around. So that's what I had to say about that. And we do need stronger borders. And then the other soundbite that I wanted to bring in is Trump talks about the economy. And I want to share that with you. And I'd like to know what your opinion is on that as well. Because, we love Trump. Trump has done a great job. But I am not one of those person that idols anybody. I don't idol anybody. I don't think anybody's perfect. I don't think anybody's 110%. The only thing, person, or entity, or God, the only energy that I support, that I bow down to, that I kneel down to, is God. God is perfect. God is, and that's for me, I'm a Christian, right? So when it comes to Trump, I think Trump is a really good man. I know for a fact that he loves America because I grew up in New York, and Trump's way older than me, but I remember being a teenager and working I started working in the city as a Gal Friday and as a runner because in New York City, the runners would run packages from one business to another. So you didn't need a bicycle. You could have a skateboard. You could have your legs and just run and walk, or a bike. And the runners would do these tasks and you would get paid for it. And then I was a Gal Friday in a law firm. So, there's a lot of different jobs that I did in New York City, just trying to figure out who and what. I was in the biggest city in the world. I could experiment with work to figure out who I was. Like I was trying to figure myself out too. But when you grow up in a city like that and you have a man like Trump, he's in the paper everywhere. When they have those articles on the richest bachelors in New York City, he was on it. So I have listened to him since the 80s when, I was a young girl and taking notice of the world around me. And everything he says today, anybody who knows Trump for his whole life knows that everything he says today, he's been saying his entire life. And when he talks about saying, "Oh, he's a nice man, he's nice," Trump is talking about being able to communicate. He doesn't really he's not friends or favors, but you have to respect another person's position in life. Just like he'll say, "Look, the way Trump wants to stick up for America, he can respect that a man like Xi Jinping or whatever the guy's name is wants to protect his nation, how Putin wants to protect his nation. He can respect that because they are fighting for their nation, the love of their nation, and that is their job. And if somebody's fighting real hard for their nation, even if they're your enemy, um, you have to respect that. That's their job. And he's a very intelligent man and he understands that. He understands that socially, he understands it business wise. He's not saying, ma'am, dammy, he knows the guy is terrible for America. He's not, he's kind of saying that in his speech, the State of the Union speech, I thought to be a little bit sarcastic, which he can do very gracefully as well. Um, but let's go to the economy because I want to know how you feel about that because I kind of I love Trump, but at the same time, I haven't really seen what he's talking about.
And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back.
I hope not.
Today, our border is secure.
Good thing. I love this. I love this.
Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before.
Okay, so right here, incomes are rising fast. That I haven't felt. And I'm in a small town. We've got about 170,000 residents in Indian River County, which is comprised of Fellsmere, Sebastian, and Vero Beach. We haven't seen the rising um, wages. We haven't seen the rising economy, at least not yet. Now, the gas prices, yes, I've seen some of the gas prices lower. Steak is still really expensive. Chicken is still really expensive. Food is still really expensive. And I don't know if that's ever going to go down. And with the gas going down, I was expecting those prices to really start going down a little more noticeably. And it's not there yet. So I'm hanging in for that, but I'm not there yet.
And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before.
That I absolutely agree with. And this is what I love about Trump. Peace through strength. And he doesn't F around. He does not F around. And that's what makes me feel good. What makes me feel bad is that we have to me it feels like less than 3 years. I don't have the exact amount of time, but we have less than 3 years, and he has a lot of executive orders that this Congress has not supported him in, which means the next president coming in. And like I said, this comes down to voting, to getting out the vote. And I'm going to tell you right now for Indian River County, the primary election, you have to be part of a party. If you're no party affiliated, if you're which is NPA, if you're libertarian, if you're anything else besides Democrat or Republican, I am begging you to change your registration for one of the parties, for the party that you most align with. If you're not Republican, well, I'm basically talking to you guys who are not belonging to any of those parties. But you need to align with one of the parties because right now what's happening in our nation is we are under jihad by the ballot. And jihad by the ballot is the Muslim Islam uh, voters, people that are living here that have their visas or citizenship or that were born here 30 years ago. They are coming to the ballot and they are voting for they're voting for the Islamics that are running. Take a look at New York. Take a look at Dearborn, Michigan. Take a look at Paterson, New Jersey, where all the Islamic people have gained position in office. Take voting seriously. And in the primaries, we have a lot of great grassroots candidates that are going to run. They're signing up. This is the time where they start signing up because they've got to make themselves known. They will not have the money to reach out to you. They will not have that money. Reach out to your local podcasters. Ask them to get them on. They will be reaching out to their party affiliates, whether they're Democrat or Republican, and they'll be going to events with those people first. And the problem with that is a lot of those people are funded and run by retired people or people that don't work, or people that have their own business. So what happens is a lot of these candidates are not available to the working class. They are not, because they all these events mostly happen during your work hours. This is really important information, and I hope you're not getting bored by it. But listen, in Indian River County, 2026 primary election, I'm reading it off to you. Early voting, August 8th to August 15th. Mail ballot request deadline. You have to call for a mail ballot request. The deadline is August 6th by 5 p.m. Election day for the primary is August 18th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This is absolutely going to floor you. The last midterm primary election voter turnout was, guess what? 26%. That is absolutely terrible. Terrible. With that kind of voter turnout, we could have a whole other party that just swarms in and takes over the polls. I want to give you an example why the primaries are so important. Okay. We had a sheriff race, and it was the most popular sheriff race that I ever saw here in Indian River County. I bet a lot of you guys remember it because in the charter school, they opened up the auditorium for everybody to come and listen to all of these candidates. We had Touchberry, Milo, Eric Flowers, and some Connie lady that always runs. She always runs as a write-in. The room was full, totally full. I mean, I was outside. I wanted to get in to film it, could not get in. And then somebody left, and then I was like, please, please, please let me in. And then they let me in, and then I tried to film some of it. But before the primary, so many people wanted to vote for Milo. Okay. He was terrible at speaking. That's probably what blew a lot of his votes. Terrible. For being in the sheriff's department for so many years, he he should have practiced a lot more on his delivery because he seemed nervous, he seemed unsure, he seemed so green, and I kind of felt bad for him up there. And but I was campaigning for a state senate, not mine, campaigning for a friend of mine who I met during the campaign season, interviewing him. And I decided I was going to join his campaign and try to support him. And that's what I did. And so when we were at the library, we set up at the library, we set up at the SOE office, we set up at the IG Center, where we would campaign for the gentleman that I wanted to win for Senate Seat 8. Milo was there everywhere. What a gentleman, because I would show up with my booth and set up my tent and I'd be by myself and he would come right over and help. What a gentleman. Nice guy. And everybody was always stopping at his booth. Oh my God, he had so many people in the Gifford area. And Gifford, if you don't know Vero Beach or Indian River County, Gifford is an old community. It's one of the old original communities where the Black people live. And it's a historic community, and it has some really great historians that made some changes in Gifford, like well, is it Bill Hart, William Hart? You know, he made such a huge difference over there. So the Hart family is a big family to know in Indian River County. They have played a huge role in that community. So he had so many people from that community, but this is a thing with Black voters and Black communities, which is really sad because I went and knocked on those doors. They don't vote, or they don't pay attention to the rules or how voting is. They don't think primaries are important. The wonderful thing was is that I did see a lot of voters showing up for the primaries for Milo. And when I was outside the library, everybody stopped at his booth. It looked like he was the only one that was popular. Really. It was For him, he must have been like, "This is a beautiful sight, man, everybody's coming to support me." But they went in, and when they came out, they said, "I didn't see your name on the ballot. I wanted to vote for you, but your name wasn't on the ballot." Did you know why, right? For those of you that don't understand the Florida primaries, and this is why I was saying earlier, change your party affiliation for the primaries. Just for the primaries, guys, so you can push that candidate into the general election. Milo had so many voters that went into that booth, got their ticket, and his name wasn't on it because they were still Democrat. Because Milo was a registered Republican. He's been a Republican for his whole life, as far as I know. He's a Black Republican. And I think his message should have been to all those people that were Democrats and a lot of the people in the Gifford community that, listen, guys, this is about me representing the people, and I want to represent you, but I need your vote in the primaries. I need you to switch your ballot, switch your registration to Republican so that you can support me. You're supporting me. You know me. I grew up here. You've known me all my life. I've worked at the schools. I mean, he really needed to sell that there. The Gifford Community Center, he should have had more meetings at the Gifford Community Center to educate those voters on how their voice is so important for their community, and voting for people like him, how that makes a change. I really don't think he did enough of that. And that was sad to see, because I was just blown away at how many people were surrounding him with love and support, and of all races and all ages as well. Old, middle-aged, my age, a little bit younger than me, my daughter's age. I mean, he really received a lot of kudos, and I expect the next sheriff race to see him run, and I'll be curious to see if he's learned his lesson and if he's grown in that time. But this is the example I'm giving you, why primaries are so important and why it's so important for you, NPAs, whatever party you belong to, if it's not Democrat or Republican, to come to the primaries. And the way you do that is switch your vote just for the primaries. And then when you're done, go in the booth, vote. Next day, or whatever, a week later from then, take a break, and then go to the SOE office and change your registration so that when you vote in the general election, you can vote in your party, and your party will count you as that party affiliate. But the primaries are to get those grassroots candidates ahead, and to get those candidates ahead that you want, but you're not affiliated with the party, because it happens all the time, especially in today's times. Now, for the general election, I want to give you that information, but I really want to focus on the primaries, because we need to get everybody out to the primaries, because 26% turnout is crap. It's crap. It's terrible. So quickly, the general election early voting is October 24th through the 31st. Mail ballot request deadline is October 22nd by 5 p.m. And election day is November 3rd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, listen, for the new election integrity, you have to request a mail-in ballot every election season. If you requested it last time, you were on the list, but the list gets wiped out again. So you have to request it again every season. So let me give you the numbers again for the primaries. That is early voting, August 8th through August 15th. Mail ballot request deadline is August 6th by 5 p.m. And election day is August 18th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Please, please, please Make your voice known. I have no idea how you're going to vote. I don't know if you're going to vote like me, but I'm preaching to you to vote. You might be voting against who I might be voting for, but I don't care. I just want everybody to get out there and vote. We have grassroots candidates out there. Get out there and get to meet them. If you know a grassroots candidate that's out there, have them contact me. I will put them on my platform and we will push it out. We'll push it out to all of the Facebook, neighborhood pages that I can. We'll get it out there. But this is how we do it because we cannot rely on the Republican Party to push grassroots candidates out because the Republican Party, they only worry about, I'm talking about the official party, like the committee and all that stuff, the club. So they'll support only a person that wins the primary. So they're not going to help you figure out really who is the best Republican candidate for the Republican side during the primary because they're not allowed to. I think it should be their job to do heavy, hard, tough, rigid vetting of the candidates to see if they fit within the Republic's representation of a representative and weed them out and say, hey, we've decided, this is our scorecard and have like a scorecard that you officially fill out and then people can say, I don't care what their scorecard says. I like this person or whatever. But you've got to weed them out. What happens is the grassroots candidates get overlooked because they don't have the money to do all of the advertising, to do all of the signs, to do all of the travel, and they die out. They fizz out like an old firecracker, unless they have some good connections to pick up traction. But even when they pick up traction, so far I've been recognizing that they are getting they're dudding out because the public doesn't know them. They just pick the most popular people. And Trump, I have yet to see him endorse a grassroots candidate. If I'm wrong, please correct me. What grassroots candidate has he endorsed? So the minute Trump endorses somebody, the grassroots candidate is like, nobody's really going to pay attention. They're just going to be like, who did Trump endorse? We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. But guess what, guys? I love Trump too. But when he endorsed Jimenez, I was watching it on TV and that whole crowd booed Jimenez. So guess what? Trump has advisors and some of his advisors are full of it. And he has to rely on people and they're letting him down. It's not all his fault, but he has to figure it out when they're doing it. And I don't know what his schedule is. It's probably very, very, very busy and stressful. So I try not to pass too much judgment, but I also got to say, yeah, it disappoints the hell out of me when I see stuff like that. Or even in my own town, when I see him endorsing somebody for state seat and they're terrible or they're a lobbyist or he talks about people being lobbyists and being representatives and they shouldn't be representatives if they're lobbyists. But then again, he'll go and endorse a lobbyist. Listen, just because I have an opinion doesn't mean I'm putting Trump down. I'm just saying what's obvious. I love Trump. I think he's a great guy, but he is not perfect like I said earlier. But he is the best president we've had for the United States since Reagan. Okay. So listen, I'm going to take you to the Somali fraud. That's another soundbite that I just wanted to share with you.
The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception.
Why do we have a representative like her? The beliefs and the ideology of Islam are antithetical to the Republic of the United States. Literally antithetical to the Republic of the United States. How is that person representing Western civilization? That's not what we do not need this person as a law passer, as a decision maker for laws that get passed. that get pushed to the Senate to get passed. This is hurting our country. For every person that is like her, that believes and lives for Islam, Allah is a destructive force in our republic.
Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings us problems right here to the USA.
She is shaking her head no when he's talking about the real issues of open borders. She does not give a rat's ass about your Americanism. She does not care if your daughter gets murdered by an illegal alien. Look at the face she is making. She is not here to represent you. She's not here to represent me. Minnesota is falling apart. It's full of fraud. It's full of illegals. That's who she represents. It infuriates me because people voted her in. And illegals probably were on that ballot voting her in.
And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of it.
Look at the smirk on her face when he talks about crime. That's serious. There is no reason for anyone to smile when anybody is addressing crime. Look, just because you didn't lose a relative to somebody taking your family's life doesn't make it less real, because it is real. It happens. And just because it didn't happen to me today doesn't mean it can't happen tomorrow. But the smirk on her face makes me just feel so disgusted. This is what's sitting in a seat where a person is supposed to be representing you and me, the American people. These people, these animals, they don't represent us. They're there to destroy the very fabric of this republic. Because if they weren't, she would not have a smirk on her face when we're talking about these issues.
But we are not playing games. Delilah.
Did you hear him say Delilah? Well, we're going to move on to that. These animals are smirking and shaking their head. And then I'm going to introduce you to the next soundbite with Delilah so we can hear Delilah's story. And just think about the smirk that was on her face. And Elon, oh no, oh no, immigrants are important. And we're talking about illegals. We're not talking about legal immigrants, because we love legal immigrants, especially the ones that are here to stand side by side with us to keep this republic strong and westernized and open to Christianity and Judaism and Baptist. This is a Christian nation. Okay. Don't come here to try to change it. A Judeo Christian nation. That's what it is. If you don't like it, get the hell out. So let's move on to the soundbite of Delilah and hear her story.
Coleman was only 5 years old in June 2024 when an 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk, have a good life. She wouldn't even be able to eat again. But against all odds, she is now in the first grade learning to walk. And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Delilah Colton.
Look at that. That was a beautiful, beautiful young lady. Look at her young dad. Can you imagine? Can you imagine nearly losing your daughter or your son? A young child that still has the entire life, their entire life in front of them. Why? Because some liberal dirtbag state gave an illegal alien who can't even read our signs, speak our language, a license to drive an 18-wheeler, a license to drive a weapon, a weapon. That's what it is. That's what it becomes. When you don't know how to read, when you don't know how to talk the same language that we speak, English, our first language, and you put them behind the wheel of a 18-wheeler loaded with stuff, mind you, not empty. They're hauling shit and it makes it heavier. Do you even know how much an 18-wheeler weighs? I don't, but it weighs a hell of a lot. It's death on wheels. And those women were sitting there smirking, just snickering, smirking, spewing their hate for America, their hate for Americans, their hate for you and me. Because guess what? We support Trump. We voted for this. We voted to put America first. And those little snickering biatches are sitting in a seat that belongs to the American people. Those two seats right there, and some of the other ones in the Democrat Party, all those haters, they belong to the true patriots of America. So listen, guys, get out there in the primaries. Don't wait for the general election. Get your ass off the couch. And if you don't belong to the Democrat or the Republican Party, get your ass off the couch, change your registration, and do something for your country, your county, your city, and vote in the primaries. Support that grassroots candidate that you love so much, that you believe represents you. Do what you have to do to get them across that line, to get them in the game, because they're running for you. That's right. They're running for you, for us, for themselves, because they're tired of our nation being taken over. They're tired of the cities, the schools being taken over. It's time for us to stand and do something. You call up, it used to be you call up and you can really talk to somebody in Congress. But the less they feel they need you, the harder it gets to talk to them, isn't it? How often have you called? Because I got tired of calling. How often have you sent emails? Man, how about doing something for your nation before the 2028 elections? Find out when sessions is, hook up with a group that goes to sessions, take vacation days on those days, and join the people that line up to meet the representatives to discuss the bills that have an effect on their lives in their states and in their local communities. One group here in Florida, if you're from Florida, is the Republican Liberty Caucus. That group diligently follows Florida bills and goes up during sessions to meet with representatives. Find them on the internet and join them. Find out when they go to sessions. It's really a learning process. I met a friend of mine, John Carroll, up there, and he really was inspiring. I love the guy. Wonderful person, patriot, America first guy. I know I can get, look, guys, I love America. I love Trump, but I'm not like a blind follower, okay? But I love Trump, and he is the greatest president we've had since Reagan. I loved Reagan. I was so happy when I finally got to vote for him. So let's go to this next soundbite, America First. That's what I call it.
Snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
I think I'm playing this the second time, but it's because you just can't get over this. This is the Democrat Party right here, right here. I don't know if you could see my mouse, but it's right here looking down that blue carpet on the left and the right. All those people sitting down are the Democrat Party. And I know Fetterman's standing somewhere. I think he's right there to the right in the black suits or the black outfit. I think he's there to the right because Fetterman would not sit down for that. Even if I don't see him, you can't convince me he would be sitting down. Fetterman loves America. He is the new face for the Democrat Party. God is working through him, and Fetterman's heart is wide open. You know, I mean, we gave him such a hard time. Remember when he was first elected and he dressed so skanky, like he dressed like he was just getting ready to go play on the basketball court. And Fetterman, I think, just really wanted to be the average American and say, look, why do I have to look a certain way to represent my people? My people don't wear suits every day. And I think that's really where he was coming from, but we weren't understanding him at the time. And I have still watched him ever since. And I'm like, I couldn't figure him out at the time because, you know, we grow up, when we go to church, we dress up. When we go to a business interview, we dress up. You know, it's putting your best on to say, look, I'm here to give you the best. And I guess that's where I would be coming from. And then he went through his tragic, you know, health issue, and God was with him all the time, guys. So you got to watch him. God is working through Fetterman somehow. I don't know how, but he is. He really is. I believe that. And Fetterman definitely was standing at that time. But look at these guys. They're sitting. They're supposed to be representing you and me. We love America. They're not representing us. They forget that we voted for closed borders. We voted for stopping illegal immigration. We voted for voter ID. And that is a bipartisan thing. That's not just a Republican thing. That's an everybody. Everybody wants fair elections. And now let's go to, this is my soundbite that I love. Now that I'm telling you, we want fair elections, right? Let's move to worker ID.
And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a social security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in
Exactly.
No good.
It's ass backwards, right?
And Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving, legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
Exactly. And I agree with this. For federal elections, yes. Federal elections should have voter ID. Absolutely. Voter ID. Ma'am Dammy just said, hey, you can get a job shoveling snow, but you need two forms of ID. But you don't need any ID to vote. That's because people want to steal the election. And we've seen that in all these countries outside of Western civilization that have, unitary democracies, or they're taken over by these communist leaders, Nazi leaders. And you got to have voter ID. You have to have voter ID to make these elections honest and fair. And anybody who doesn't want that, that means anybody can vote. Anybody can decide you're America. That doesn't belong here. That's scary. That's really scary. So, listen, guys, with Trump, we always feel like we're winning. Sometimes we haven't. There are still some issues that you and I agree on that are going on right now that are not being resolved. We kind of want, we're coming down on the AG, we're on Cash Patel, but let's just fill our hearts with some wins, okay? Let's just feel the goodness of what it is to win. Let's go to that sound bite. Oh, yes. I love it. That's the sound of winning.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
I love it. We just beat the 51st state. I love it. I love it. I love it. What's the sound of winning? I tell you what, guys, I love the sound of winning. That is the sound of winning. We still have some battles ahead of us. That's right, we do. We still have some battles ahead of us. Absolutely. But we have the greatest president that we could have had in history, aside from Reagan and, you know, Kennedy. There's a few others, but listen, we've got 3 years left with this president, and we need to do our part. And I'm gonna preach it to you again. Get out to the primaries. Figure out who these candidates are. Look at the grassroots candidates. Right now in Indian River County, we have an incumbent that hasn't put in to run yet, but may be running again, who's been in office for 20 years. Give him 4 more years and he might just go senile. We might just see some decline. Let's not wait till they've declined to fill the seat. Let's take the time, meet, discuss, interview, ask tough questions to those grassroots candidates, get off our asses, change our party affiliation if we haven't joined a party that's on the ballot, Democrat or Republican, for the primaries. Let's do a record showing of 50% of voters. Let's kill the record of 26% last election. We need to do better, folks. We really need to do better. I always vote in the primaries and I always vote in the general election. It's not that hard to do. And yes, I have a party affiliation, so it's not hard for me to vote in the primaries, but it's just one more step. Change your voter registration just for the primaries. Vote in a few days, go back, change it back to your party affiliation so you're registered as your party when you vote in the general elections. But we really need to do a better job ourselves. I want to thank you for joining Binford Chronicles. Visit us every Thursday at 7 p.m. I was a little late today. It was just such a tough week. I'm telling you, it was a tough week. I hope you had a better week, but I'm still blessed with all the wonderful people that I get to work with every day. So that takes a lot of stress off my heart and soul. Go to binfordchronicles.com or binfordchronicles.net. Check it out. Join me if you want to come on the podcast and shoot the shit. Join me. IRCmedia.net. I'm partnered with John Carapi, Mike Bollock, and Leo Maldonado. John Carapi hosts TGI Now every Tuesday. I want to say 7 p.m. To the Point podcast every Wednesday. I want to say 7 p.m. You can find them on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. I think those guys are even on Spotify. And I always host the board report on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Another little tip for you, every second Thursday of the month at 6 p.m., meet us. We have a live broadcast. John Carapi hosts that, and it's called the Conspiracy Club. So if you go to my Rumble or Facebook, you'll see that I just did a rerun on the conspiracy of climate change. I always love talking about that. Um, so bring it out. Come on out. See us at Filthy's every second Thursday of the month from 6 to 8. And if you stay after 8, you can join the karaoke. They have a really great karaoke person out there now. It was a new person last Thursday. I even gave it a shot. And hey, I can't say I can sing, but I can tell you what, it's a lot of fun. So have a good evening. Get out the vote. Let me see if I can tell you just one more time because I really want us to get out there and vote. And that's August 8th through the 15th is early voting. So do it before August to get your voter registration changed. Go vote in the primaries. Get involved. And check it out up there. Mike Dilks did you a favor at any of the following podcasts. Reach out to him, check him out. You can go to Antihero Podcast, Copville Podcast. That's where I go, and Counterculture Podcast. Have a great evening, every guy. Oh, have a great evening, everybody.